What is up, Pacer Nation? Welcome to the Pacer Pulse podcast, the heartbeat of Indiana basketball. And man, what do you know, Pacer Nation? I have to talk about another loss today. We lose to the Spurs last night, 123 to 113. And a lot of interesting storylines, subplots in this game. It was just kind of a defining game in that regard where we're kind of starting to see where some people shake out in the rotation. We got Nesmith back in the lineup. We started Micah Potter. And obviously, this has been a trend this year where we get these 10-day guys that end up being in the starting lineup because guys on our team originally just can't even win those roles. It's just pretty baffling to me. And we've seen it with Jarace Walker already where he wasn't starting over like the Garrison Matthews, the Jeremiah Robinson Earls. Now we're seeing it with Jay Huff where he can't even get the start over Micah Potter, who's quite honestly just been better than Jay Huff here lately since he's been on the team, which is shocking to say. I wouldn't have ever said that or imagined saying that before this season even started, but we're here, Pacer Nation, and it's rough, but at least we got to see Nesmith back in the lineup. It was cool to see Furphy start 2 games at least. I liked that, but overall, Furphy had a good game off the bench at least. But I'll get into like those subplots of kind of what happened in this game. But really, it was the second quarter where we really blew this game. I mean, we actually won every other quarter scoring-wise, but the second quarter, we just got absolutely destroyed, and that really set the tone. And then the Spurs had a lot of second-chance points this game, a lot of offensive rebounds. Like, that's been the story of our season, too. We cannot get rebounds to save our lives, and sometimes that just really kills us, and we give up way too many second-chance points, and we don't get enough of those ourselves. We don't go after offensive rebounds. I don't know if that's a schematic thing. I used to think it was because they didn't want us going after offensive rebounds and they wanted us to just get back on defense. So they didn't really want us crashing the glass in that regard and getting people to like score in transition just on fast break opportunities like in that regard where they have the advantage. I'm not really sure nowadays. I don't really know what the game plan is necessarily. But how you guys know I like to do this, if you've heard this podcast before, I like to go quarter by quarter, and I go over notes that I wrote down, just things that I saw each quarter. So like I said, the game, we started with Nembhard, Mathurin, Nesmith, Siakam, and Potter. And I will say this, Mathurin had a pretty awful game tonight too, and a lot of foul trouble, him and Nesmith both. Nesmith, he shot the ball well, he had a decent game. He just struggled with turnovers and fouls this game, but all in all, it was nice to see Nesmith back in the starting lineup. But we really got to figure out this center situation. Like, I'm not trying to discredit what Potter did. He had a good game last night, too. I want to give him all the credit for that. It's just, we cannot have a starting center be Micah Potter. That just can't be happening. So I know they're trying hard to find a solution to that spot. It just depends on if there's even any available, to be honest, Pacer Nation. And that's going to be the biggest thing to really watch out and see within this next month or so, if we are able to find somebody that can actually fulfill that starting center role. And quite frankly, it just might not be out there. I'm not sure. But we know how this front office is. Sometimes they'll make a trade that comes out of nowhere that we wouldn't be expecting. So I'm going to keep my eyes open for that. And just kind of, obviously, I think all of Pacer Nation knows that's a possibility. But going into my notes here, start of the fourth quarter, Nembhard, he had a really awesome start to this game. He had like 12 points in the first quarter. He was on fire. He was killing it. But he had a drive and a layup early on. Then Castle, he just had like an easy drive for an easy dunk, like no resistance at all. And I wanted to highlight that because too often do we just allow guys just to walk into the lane and essentially do whatever they want. And that was pretty eye-opening to me. Nesmith, he hit an early 3 early on, so it was good to see him get some shots going. Mathurin had a good defensive play on Julian Champagny, and I wanted to highlight that, just always trying to highlight some good plays from Mathurin on the defensive end, if he has them. And then Nembhard, he had a 3 off the dribble. Like I said, he was looking good early on. And Nembhard, he got fouled with it and hit the and-1 early on too. Like I said, he was just getting everything going. Really fire, like just on fire. Couldn't miss. I mean, even the and-1s he was hitting was pretty incredible. And then Nembhard, he had like an early 8 points for the team. And then Siakam, he had an easy post-up for a layup for 2. Siakam continues to be pretty consistent. And he's had a little bit, like, not like say off games, but just, I mean, he was good against the Magic too, I guess. It's just not the big, like, high scoring number games like you would see. because I forget what he finished this game with, and I'll go over it at the end of the breakdown here. I think he finished with 23 points. So he actually had a good game. Like, very good game. It's just with Siakam too, he always has those quiet games like where before you know it, he has 20 plus points, 8 plus rebounds, something like that, because I always equate it to like Tim Duncan. Obviously he's not Tim Duncan level, but just the way Tim Duncan played too. Like, you would never know that Tim Duncan had like 28 points and like 10 plus rebounds in a game because he just did it so quietly. And that's what Siakam reminds me of in that regard. And then early on, Micah Potter hit a three, which it's nice to see some center hitting a three, I guess. I mean, since Jay Huff's been really bad from three lately. And then Micah Potter had a nice defensive play at the rim. He got a nice block. And at this point, the Pacers, we were on like an 11-3 run. We were looking pretty good. And then Nembhard had a drive for two. Nembhard, he had another drive and finish for two. Like I said, he just had it going early on, really good. And then Spurs, they went on a 10-0 run. So if you know the Pacers this year, it's back and forth runs with this team. I mean, we'll go on like an 11-2 run or 3 run, like I said earlier, and then we give up like 10 straight points and we don't score anything. It's quite remarkable, honestly. And then Furphy, he had Furphy, he behind the back step through and then passed to like a cutting Jarace Walker, who finished with the 2 points. I just thought it was like a beautiful play by Furphy. He had like a nice behind the back, kind of like stepped through his way into the lane. He may have even lost the ball a little bit in that sequence, but he found a cutting Jarace Walker to finish the play. So it was a good play by Johnny Furphy. You continue to see him just growing in different ways and getting more confident each game. And I love what I've been seeing for Johnny Furphy. And one of those things that was kind of eye-opening to me in this game too is where Johnny Furphy came in before Walker in this one. And that's something I've kind of been preaching on this podcast, if you've been listening, is that I wouldn't be surprised to see Furphy kind of get more minutes than Jarace eventually, because we know how much that Rick loves Furphy. He loves Furphy. So I think you'll be surprised. Maybe a lot of fans will be surprised to see that Johnny's going to end up getting more minutes than Walker. And he did tonight. And I think he did tonight. Let me make sure I'm correct on that. But I think that's going to be a trend that we see moving. Yeah, he did. He got more minutes than Walker. So don't be surprised if you see that more often. It's just Furphy makes way less mistakes. He plays his role pretty well. Even if he's continuing to try to become a better three-point shooter, he's starting to, I think he hit one tonight, so he's starting to get there. And he hustles, he plays strong defense, or he at least tries hard. And we already know that's what Rick likes to see. And Furphy fits the type of mold of a player that we kind of like to have on this team anyway. So awesome game from Furphy, in my opinion. I thought he played well. And then Furphy, I had it wrote down the next play. Furphy hit a three on the next play after that. And then Walker, he takes an awful mid-range shot. It was highly contested. I was just kind of like scratching my head, like, what are you doing? And Jarace just does so many of these. And I want to highlight Jarace too. He had an awesome offensive game at the beginning of this half here of this game. And I'll get into the second half. But he had a strong offensive game. He was hitting his shots, hitting his threes. And what you want to see from Walker at least, but the rest of his game has to come along. Defense, rebounding, passing, the silly mistakes that are just head scratching, excuse me. Those need to be cut down dramatically, but at least he's starting to hit some shots again. And then Jay Huff, he had a pump fake and drive in the paint where he dropped it off of Furphy for an easy layup. Just kind of like a surprising play by Huff. Not much to really highlight from Huff in this game or any game, so I'm trying to find some positive here. And then TJ, he had a drive for two, and then TJ, he drives all the way to the entire length of the court and finishes with a layup to end the first quarter, and that actually put us up one, him doing that to end the first quarter. So after the first quarter, it was 30-31. We were up one. Like I said, TJ gave us a lead there. And we were shooting 59% from the field and 67% from three. So very awesome start on offense. And the Spurs were shooting 43% from the field, 30 from three, but they were only down one. So something had to give here. Rebounds, they had 14, we had 9. Assists, they had 9, we had 8, so it was pretty even. Offensive rebounds, they had 5, we had 0. That's pretty bad differential, in my opinion, guys. I mean, we continue to give up way too many offensive rebounds to second chance points to teams, and it kills us every game. And we had 2 blocks to their 2, or excuse me, 2 steals to their 2, 1 block to their 0. Turnovers was even with 3. Points off turnovers, they had 5. We had 5, so even. Bench points, we had 11. They have 14, so pretty even. Points in the paint were even at this point, too. It was 18-18. And scoring leaders after the first quarter, Nembhard had 12 points, 4 rebounds. Was really awesome in that first quarter. He really killed it. He really carried us in that first quarter. Mathurin, 2 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Nesmith, 3 points. Siakam, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Micah Potter, 3 points, 1 assist, a steal, and a block. Furphy had 5 points off the bench. He had the most minutes off the bench after the first quarter. J. Huff continues to be pretty rough. 1 rebound, 1 assist. Shepard, pretty much goose eggs besides 1 steal. In his minutes, Walker had 2 points. McConnell had 4 points. TJ continues to just be rock solid too. And that's what's nice, at least with TJ, is like having TJ, because if Nembhard's struggling, which he wasn't in this game, but we've seen a lot of games where Nembhard's struggling from the field, but it helps that we have TJ because he at least like picks up anything that Nembhard may be lacking in that game. So at least our guard rotation is pretty solid in that front. But like all our other positions, essentially, it's pretty much a wild card what you're going to get. So you can always rely on TJ to at least bring steady point guard play if Nembhard's struggling. And outside of that, like if Mathurin's struggling, you're not really getting much production out of your bench. Like Shepard's not going to really score a ton. He had a good game last game, and he's starting to hit his shots a little more. Walker's 2 hit or miss. Furphy, still young. He's still figuring it out. But if you really have like Mathurin struggling or Nesmith struggling or Siakam, even like center at this point, if any of those guys are struggling, the starters, you're not getting much production out of the bench. And that's where it really hurts if they have rough games. That's why, like, sometimes Nembhard, it's all right if he has rough games because we have TJ that can come in and just kind of pick up the slack. So, going into the second quarter, Siakam, he had great defense. Like, he was just playing great defense all around. And then Walker, he hit a 3. Nesmith had a terrible pass that led to a fast break layup. Or Harper dunk, excuse me. So, they had, like, a highlight dunk. Harper killed us in this game. Like, and then Stephon Castle was too, De'Aaron Fox. They just all were really tearing us up. And then TJ, he had a nice mid-range shot. But the Spurs were on like a 9-2 run at this point. And then Potter, he had just a terrible turnover, just lack of communication. Walker, he had another 3. And then Nembhard, he had a steal. Like, he kind of just flew in from out of nowhere and picked, I think it was Fox, picked him and just kind of got the easy steal and gave us another extra possession. So that was nice to see. And then Walker, he had another made shot he had an early 11 points in this game. Yeah, he had 11 points by this time in the second quarter. But the Spurs, they were on a 19-8 run. And Siakam scores like a much-needed layup because we were really struggling to score for a stretch there. And this is a quarter where I said we pretty much lost the game in this quarter. They had 41 points to our 27. We won the scoring battle in each quarter outside of that. And then Nembhard, he had a nice mid-range shot. And Walker, he got the steal, but then there was a terrible pass to Siakam for a turnover. And then TJ had a nice mid-range shot. Potter, he threw a turnover. Like, we had 11 turnovers in this half already. Like I said, it was just awful quarter. It really just fell off a cliff after that halfway, like pretty good, I would say, first quarter. Good start. We were up 1. But we always do this. Almost every game, it's either the second quarter or first quarter. We have just one awful quarter that really offsets it. And then we were just giving up so many offensive rebounds. The Spurs had 9 offensive rebounds so far in the game. That's before halftime. And then Siakam had a nice post-range, mid-range turnaround shot, which was nice. Potter, he had a nice post shot for 2. Defense, it had just been awful like all game for the most part, and especially second chance points. Then Mathurin, he had a nice last-second mid-range shot before the end of the half, and that was like his only points in the entire game, which is crazy to say. Something ain't right with Mathurin lately. I don't know what it is. And I'm a big Mathurin supporter, but he's been struggling a lot lately, and I will say that. And I don't know if it's his toe injury still. He has said he's been struggling with that, but something else just seems off. Like, so I don't know what's going on, but he had a pretty awful game, probably his worst game of the season, to be honest. I mean, especially scoring-wise, he only had 2 this entire game. So I don't know what's going on there. But at halftime, it was 71-58. The Spurs were up, and we were shooting 59% from the field, 46 from three. So you would think with those shooting numbers, we would be winning this game, but we weren't. We were literally down 13. So the Spurs, they were shooting 52% from the field, 41 from three at this point. So they were shooting awesome too. And the rebounding battle, they had 25 at half. We had 14. We had 11 assists at half. They had 15. Offensive rebounds, they had 9. We had 0. Think of all those second chance opportunities they got. The Spurs just literally had more chances to score than us. And that's what really helped them win this game too. Steals, we had 7. They had 6. Blocks, we had 2. They had 0. Turnovers, we had 11. They had 8. So pretty close to being even. Points off turnovers, though, they had 16. We had 10. So that slight difference in turnovers made a difference. They had 6 extra points off those. Bench points, we had 26. They had 33. Points in the paint, we had 26. They had 38. We always get killed points in the paint. That's kind of a theme throughout this whole entire year, sadly. And then halftime leaders, Nembhard at 14 points, 4 rebounds, and a steal. Mathurin, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Nesmith, 5 points, 1 rebound. Siakam, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. Micah Potter, 5 points, 1 assist, a steal, and a block. TJ had 10 points off the bench, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 steals. Jarace had 11 points. He was scoring pretty well. And then J Huff, he had 9 minutes, 1 rebound, 1 assist, not effective at all, 1 block. Furphy, 5 points. Shepard still hadn't scored at this point. And that was our halftime, guys. I mean, down 13. We were just giving up way too many extra possessions and opportunities for the Spurs. I mean, we both were shooting pretty even. That was like probably one of our better shooting halves of the season, too. It's just, when you give up so many offensive rebounds, they had 9 to our 0. I mean, imagine if they even score 2 points off each of those, that's 18 points. 18 points. My math's right, sorry. But that's just an extra 18 points already if they score off those alone. So obviously they didn't, but enough to where they're up 13 at halftime. It's just, we have to be stronger on the glass, and that's been an issue with us all season, and that's part of the reason why, because we want a starting center because we have nobody that can rebound. So going into the third quarter, we were just missing every shot. Nothing really changed. And Mathurin he had like a lot of foul trouble too in the first half. He had like 4 fouls early in this game as well. Like I said, it was just pretty rough. So I think, no, he ended up picking his 4th foul up, or 4th or 5th foul in the third quarter here. And that's when Kam Jones comes in. And I've been real excited to see Kam Jones, probably more than I should be, but I'm just excited to see what he can do. I want to see if he can be a rotation player, if he has more to his game that maybe we don't know yet. Yes, his shot, it has kind of like a hitch in it. He shot a 3-pointer this game, and it just, maybe he can hit it. I mean, he did hit 1 3 at least already, or 1 or 2 in his career so far, but it has a hitch, so I know they're working on that probably. But it's not the prettiest, so hopefully he can clean that up. But he just came in and didn't really make mistakes. He played his role. He played decent defense on De'Aaron Fox, possession or 2. So if he can come in, play good defense, be a good ball handler, he can. I mean, he's a decent passer from what we've seen. He threaded the needle on this one fast break pass to Furphy in a game or 2 ago. I think it was last game against the Rockets that he played. I can't remember which game. I think it was the Rockets game where he had that pass. I don't remember, but it was a beautiful pass, so he has some of that in him. He plays steady. He doesn't make any mistakes, and if he has more he can unlock in his game, I'm just curious to see. I think he could fit this team pretty well if he could show that he has higher levels he can take his game to. I think that's an added bonus. So I've been excited to see him starting to get like real rotation minutes. But that's the thing I wanted to point out too, is like Furphy's get more minutes of Walker. Kam Jones is coming in, playing some pretty heavy rotation minutes. So if you heard my New Year's podcast that I did, where it was like 5 things that I hope to see in this next coming calendar year, I was talking how I wanted to see the young guys play, like Furphy and Kam Jones. We've seen Walker and Shepard a lot. We kind of know what to expect from them. But I want to see those guys a lot, and I hope this is like a trend in that direction where we at least get to see these guys play, see what they can do, even if that means we have to like sit TJ a little bit more and rest him a little more to get Kam Jones more minutes, whatever it is. But I think we're going to see somebody is going to have to be the odd man out, and I think Jarace only played maybe 3 minutes total in the second half, and that was mostly in garbage time maybe. I mean, at the end of the game, I don't know. I forget when he really got his minutes in the second half, but he played pretty much mostly just the first half, and that was it. So Kam Jones came in after. Sorry, I went on a tangent, but Kam Jones came in for Mathurin at that point because Mathurin was in foul trouble, really struggling. And then Siakam, he had a beautiful step through Euro step for two. Nesmith had a nice block on Castle. Awesome defensive play by Nesmith. Just missing his hustle out there has just been a huge added bonus to this team, even if it hasn't resulted in wins. And the defense was just struggling so bad still. Potter hit another three. Potter hits another three after that, so he hit like back-to-back threes, which was awesome to see. But Harper, I wanted to highlight this because it was just nasty, but he had a nasty like crossover on Nesmith at one point where Nesmith just got caught standing, I guess, and just got caught on his heels, basically. Harper tore him up on that, and it was a beautiful play by Harper. I'll give him that. He's a great player, so Nesmith can't really have too much embarrassment from that, I guess, because he's a great player. And then Siakam had a drive for two. The Pacers, we were on like a 9-2 run at this point. Then we were on like 11-2 run, and we ended up being down by like 10 points at one point, so we kind of brought it within striking distance, but could never exactly get it too close. I think it was like 6 is what we got it the closest to, but it was never really in question that we were going to take over this game, it seemed like. And then TJ, he had a tough mid-range shot over Carter Bryant that I thought was a pretty awesome shot. And then the Pacers, we were on like a 13-5 run at this point. Nembhard, he got back-cutted by Fox for an easy 2. Just pretty, like I said, everybody has this game, so I can't really just point that out, but it really stood out to me because it was kind of been a crucial run in this game. And then Shepherd, he had a nice 3. Then Huff, he had a block at the rim. Furphy, he had an up and under layup for 2. And the Pacers, we were on like a 20-7 run at this point. So just think if we didn't have that awful second quarter, we would be winning this game probably by double digits. At least if we kept it within 4 or 5 in that second quarter. And then TJ, he had a 2 on a layup. And then the Pacers, we were on like a 22-11 run to end the third quarter. And we outscored them in the third quarter too. So, like I said, that second quarter really did us in. But after the end of the third, we were shooting 51% from the field, 36 from 3. So great shooting numbers still. 47% from the field for the Spurs, 27 from 3. So not great shooting from 3. But the Spurs were they were beating us in rebounds. They had 38 rebounds to our 28. So they were really killing us on the glass still. They had 9 offensive rebounds to our 0. Literally no offensive rebounds for us going into the fourth quarter. That's crazy. And then the blocks, we had 4 to their 1. Steals, we had 8. They had 6. Turnovers, we had 11. They had 10. And points off turnovers, we had 12, and they had 16. And bench points, we had 37 to their 38, so pretty even. Points in the paint, we had 38 to their 52. We always struggle to win that battle. That's something we really need to like get better at or address somehow. But after the end of the third quarter, Nembhard had 16 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. Mathurin, he had 2 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Nesmith, 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, a block. Siakam, 14 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Potter, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. Bacano, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals, and that's in 15 minutes. That's incredible. J. Huff scores nothing, had 2 blocks, 2 assists, a rebound. Just was really awful. Shepherd had 5 points, a rebound, an assist, a steal. Furphy had 7 points, 2 rebounds, an assist. Walker, like I said, didn't play in this quarter at all, so he still had 11. And Kam Jones played 6 minutes in this quarter, and he had a rebound and an assist at least. So doing the small things, but I liked what I saw from Kam Jones. He wasn't doing anything spectacular, but he wasn't messing up either. He was just making the right plays, good positioning on defense. So I did like what I saw from Kam Jones, and I hope to see more. And maybe I'm just a little high on the Kam Jones thing. Maybe I'm just looking for something else to be excited about and something else to watch and kind of monitor. Maybe that's a lot of it too. But going into the fourth quarter, Huff, he had a strong drive and tried to dunk it on like 2 guys, and he got the foul. So I thought it was a nice aggressive play by J. Huff, but resulted in him getting 2 free throws at least. And then Nesmith got the offensive foul for his 5th foul pretty early on. Like I said, he was just struggling with fouls too, like Mathurin. They both really struggled with defense tonight. And the Spurs, they go on a run to go up by like 13 with 9 minutes and 32 seconds left in the fourth quarter. So after that run we had in the third quarter, it was kind of for naught. Like I said, it just, even though we got it within 6, he just kind of knew we weren't going to come back in this game fully, sadly. And then Mathurin, he had an offensive rebound that led to a Siakam layup, who got the M1 on the play. Shepherd hit another three. Nembhard, he had a drive and loses the ball for a turnover. He has a lot of those sometimes where he recklessly just kind of tries bulldozing his way into the lane and loses the ball out of nowhere. The Spurs, they were on like a 7-0 run. Siakam hit a tough bank shot. And then Nesmith, he had a back-to-the-back layups that were pretty nice, little up and unders, finish on the opposite side of the rim. Pretty good layups by Nesmith. And then Potter, he hit another three, and he had like 15 at this point. But a lot of this kind of came whenever the game was already out of hand, and that was the end of my notes. But even Nembhard, too, had some points there at the end that were kind of garbage time points that didn't really matter almost. So, really, like, Nembhard scored 12 in the first quarter. Then the rest of the game, he just kind of, let's say, he finished with 19, so the rest of the game he had 7. I would say 4 of those were in the garbage time. So, really, I mean, he had a decent game overall, so better than a lot of guys, but a lot of his points kind of came when the game didn't matter, too, besides that first quarter. And then he didn't really do much in the third or second and third at all. And then, so to end the game, like I said, we lost 123 to 113. We shot 51% from the field in this game, 40 from 3. You would take that any day, Pacer Nation. If we do that and shoot that well, you would think we won the game, but no. And the Spurs, they shot 44%, 28% from 3. They have 49 rebounds to our 40, so we kind of evened it out almost. And offensive rebounds, though, they had 12 to our 1. That's probably one of the big defining moments of this game where we lost that game off that too. They had more free throw chances as well. And that second quarter, I think all the 3 of those combined really killed us in this game. And steals, they had 8, we had 8. Blocks, we had 5, they had 2. Turnovers, we had 14 to their 12, so pretty even. Points off turnovers, they had 16, we had 14, so pretty even. Bench points, they had 57, we had 44, so they beat us there. Points in the paint, they had 60, we had 50. So even to be within 10, that's not terrible. So you kind of take that at least for considering like what our standard has been with that lately. And then Nembhard, he had 19 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists in this game, 1 steal, a block. Like I said, 12 points in the first quarter. And then like 4 kind of when the game didn't matter there at the end of the fourth. So kind of struggled the rest of the game, but he had a good overall game. So I'll give him props for that. Mathurin, pretty awful game. He had 4 or 5 fouls, I think, pretty early on. Only got 20 minutes in this game, but he only had 2 points. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and just something's going on with Mathurin. I'm not sure what it is. It's the toes still, or if it's something else where it's just he's not the same. You can clearly tell, and something's going on to where I just don't know what where the aggressiveness is. Maybe he's just having more pain, and he's not getting to the rim like he used to, especially in the beginning of this year. That's pretty evident too. He's settling for more jumpers. And that has to be because of the toe injury or something. I don't know what else that could be. And then Nesmith, he had 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, a block. Siakam, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. Amazing game from Siakam. Really picked it up in the second half, too. And then Potter, he had 16 points, 6 rebounds, and an assist, a steal, and a block. So great game by Potter. First start of his career, I'm sure. So I thought he had a pretty great game. I mean, you hope for more rebounds from him, but all in all, can't complain. He had an awesome game. J Huff, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. Not much to say about J Huff. Been pretty awful lately and just really is glaring hole that we need to fill at center. I know we already know this, Pacer Nation. I know they're already looking, but man, it's been rough, guys. It's been rough at center, and it's gotten even worse since Huff has really dropped off in his production. And yeah, you're getting some of the blocks still, but everything else, it's not coming. There's just nothing else that's really coming to the table that's justifying playing him these minutes, to be honest. And then TJ, he had 14 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Awesome TJ McConnell game. And then Shepherd had 8 points, 3 rebounds, an assist, a steal. Furphy, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Jarace, yeah, he only played 11 minutes in this game. And he didn't play in the second half at all. So that was pretty eye-opening to me, but he had 11 points in this game. Kam Jones played 10 minutes. He had 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. He had kind of like a garbage time layup, but it was nice to see. But Kam Jones actually led the team in plus-minus this game. He had plus 16. And I think he had some pretty good praise from Rick Carlisle after the game, saying how he just seems to – a lot of things seem to go right when he's out there, I guess. So I could see where – you can see where Kam Jones basically took Jarace Walker's minutes in the second half. And then Furphy played a little more too, but it was pretty shocking to see that Jarace didn't play at all in that second half. But Jarace Walker was also a -10, and Mathurin was a -12. Shepard was a -17. Huff -16. Furphy -12. But something what I don't know, something with Jarace is like he's in the doghouse big time because he's starting to lose his minutes to like Kam Jones, and now that guys are finally getting healthy. If you're somehow the 10th guy on this team still, even during this season, that's not a good look, Pacer Nation. I'm just going to be frank. That's pretty rough, especially for a guy that was your 8th overall pick, 7th, whatever you want to call it. That's rough. So it's not looking good for Jarace. I'm going to be bold here and say I'll be surprised if he's on the team past the trade deadline. I'm just going to say it now. I don't see a role for him on this team, especially after we get our draft pick in this next coming draft. I don't know. I'll be surprised to see, and I'll be curious to see if Kam Jones continues to get more minutes because he did all right. I mean, the best plus minus on the team by far. He's doing something right out there, and I think it's nice to explore more minutes for him, even if it's at Shepard's expense too. And then, sorry, I forgot where I let off there. So Micah Potter, he was a +4, and then Siakam -3, Nesmith +2, Nembhard -4, and yeah, guys, that was pretty much the game. Like I said, the points in the paint beat us, and that, like, we usually get beaten that too. But our shooting numbers were good. You'll take that any day. It's just too many second chance opportunities, guys. They had 12 offensive rebounds to our 1. And they had a lot of free throw chances too. They just had extra possessions with the ball where that really cost us the game too. And then that second quarter really killed us. And like I said, there's different storylines in this game. It was just pretty eye-opening. Like I said, with the Jarace Walker not playing at all in the second half was eye-opening. Furphy playing more minutes than him. Kam Jones playing 10 minutes of like meaningful rotation minutes in this game. He came in for Mathurin there in the third quarter and played quite a bit for a good stretch there. And I'll be curious to see if that continues moving forward. Are we going to see Jarace continue to get less minutes? Are we going to see Furphy get more minutes than him? Kam Jones start to get way more minutes? Are we going to see even Shepard's minutes get cut back some? He had 17 minutes in this game. And then Nesmith had 29. Mathurin, if he could pick it up, I hope he does. I'm like the biggest Mathurin fan, so I hope he can like turn this around. But he's been struggling. That's all there is to it. He hasn't been doing what he needs to be doing out there to play. And maybe it's his toes still, and I pray if that's what it is, I pray he can get healthy from it and be able to bounce back. And we've seen how it is with some other guys, like Garland's just recently been playing well for the Cavs. But pretty much all the way up until this point, he's been pretty bad this year because of his toe injuries. So it's nothing to really mess with. And I'm starting to think maybe he just needs to take more time, but I know he's trying to get paid. It's just a tricky situation, guys. So, but all in all, just honestly, it was kind of a rough game to see. We had some stretches where we kind of came back, but all in all, kind of rough, guys. And on our way to an 11th loss of the season, or not of the season, excuse me, 11 losses in a row. And I'm still wondering when Rick's going to get his 1,000th win. I mean, we're playing the Magic next, and then we play the Cavaliers. And then after that, I know we play like another tough team. We just don't really have any easy games coming up on the schedule, guys, and we're approaching 6-30 here very soon. Sunday, we could be 6-30. I mean, the Wizards have like 2 or 3 more wins than us right now. That's how bad it is, Pacer Nation. But our only silver lining is that we get this draft pick in 2026, and we pray that it's top 3. And it still is a miracle to me to this day that we somehow traded for that pick back before Tyrese got hurt in the finals, before the finals even started. And it was a blessing to even be able to get that back, guys, considering what happened. But all in all, Pacer Nation, not much else I can really add to this game. Just another tough Pacer loss. I mean, at least we only lost by 10, but they didn't have Wembanyama. I didn't even mention that. They didn't have Wembanyama in this game. They didn't even have Devin Vassell in this game. So the fact, I mean, they're still a good team without Wembanyama, but without some of their key players, they were still able to like handily win this game. Not a good look, guys, especially when most of our team is pretty much healthy now. I mean, we don't have Obi Toppin, of course, but other than that, most of our guys are healthy. So that's just pretty eye-opening too. And maybe we overestimated how good this team could have been, even if they were all healthy. I don't know. A lot of questions that need to be answered, Pacer Nation. But if you listen to this, I really appreciate it, guys. If you watch this on YouTube, I would love a like, comment, subscribe. Would love to hear your guys' opinions on the teams, what you're seeing so far from any of these guys from the team, what your hopes are. And then if you listen on YouTube mostly, I put this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well. And if you guys listen to those platforms mostly, I'm on YouTube as well. But I would always love the feedback from you guys on how I can improve the show. And I just love this team, guys. I'm passionate about this team, just like I know a lot of you are, and want to have that passionate talk with you guys about this team and just have some good banter back and forth on YouTube. So check out the comments there. It'd be fun talk there. And like I said, I would appreciate a 5-star review as well or on the listening platforms as well. But so Sunday we have a game against the Magic. I think it's at 3 o'clock. I'm going to do a game recap there. Then Monday I will be doing another player story series. It's probably going to be the last episode of that series. So if you haven't heard the other ones, I've done like 7 before this, 7 or 8 before. I just did one over Furphy. I've done over Nesmith the week before, TJ, Siakam, Nembhard, and Mathurin. So I'm going to have one more for the books here, and I'm going to end the series on that. But just fun little quick episodes to listen to where you learn more about these guys, their background, where they came from. Because I don't know, I'm trying to find some other things that are interesting to hear during this season, guys. And I think it's always fun to hear about players' backstories and kind of what it's taken for them to get to where they are today with our team. So really fun episodes. Be on the lookout for that. But I really appreciate you guys listening to the podcast and just watching if you are. And I will talk to you soon, Pacer.